All right, what's going on, guys? Just gonna give a few minutes for everyone to hop on here. So, tons of stuff to cover today. Just give everyone about 30 seconds to 2 minutes to jump on and load up. Just get everything going here. Give me a second, guys. What's going on? What's going on? Okay. Okay, let's get rid of this. Okay. Awesome, guys. Gonna get started in a minute here, and we will get going. Awesome, guys. 32 viewers. Just I know I just launched up about 20 seconds ago, so just usually like to start when I get to 100. I don't know. It's Sunday, so a lot of people, I imagine, will probably replay videos. So I'm going to give everyone about another minute or so, and we'll jump into today's session. Pretty excited. Going to be another crazy week, and I'll talk through all this stuff in a minute. Appreciate it. What's up? What's going on, Eric? What's going on, Rubio? Malik, Joshua, how are you guys? David, Erica, nice to see you guys. What's going on? Spud, I paid my mortgage for 6 months with that 145 put call. Thank you, brother. I love to hear that, my man. Mortgages are tough, and I'm glad you got half a year out of it. That's awesome. That is very exciting. So congrats to you. Hopefully many more to come, right? So this week's gonna be pretty crazy. So definitely zone in. It's gonna be pretty awesome. All right, cool. Jump to 50 viewers here. We're going to get started shortly. Let me just quickly post on social, and we will get this show on the road. I haven't done one in like 3 or 4 weeks, so I'm pretty excited. I know a lot of the new members have been asking for some of this, a bunch of education, so this is great. New members, highly suggest joining. Okay, we're going to get that flowing. Okay, going live now. Just quickly posting. Okay. Awesome. All right, I'm going to get started. I think people will probably just join in periodically as we start to just roll through. Okay, good. We just got to jump to 75 viewers. Okay. So we'll get started. What's going on, guys? Happy Sunday. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to jump on today. I know it's the weekend and people are with family, friends, etc. But really appreciate it. This is going to be one of the bigger weeks of the year. I said that last week. I said things are going to get volatile. We saw the QQQ drop almost 6% on the week. So 5-6% on the week. That's a drastic move for the indexes, and obviously a lot of big things were dragged down with it. So this week's going to be pretty crazy. Before I jump into it, I am Spud from Spud Zone. I'm not a financial advisor. I trade everything based on my own stock ideas and what I'm playing, particularly in real time, whether it's a swing trade, day trade, long trade. I trade within different accounts, day accounts, IRA accounts, and different things of that nature. So I've been doing this for years. Particularly, I love to help coach and teach new members. You can definitely check us out in the Discord, Spud Zone. So feel free to connect, and through there, our tech team will post the links and answer any questions periodically throughout this virtual session here. And you can just see the chat on the side via the YouTube channel comment section. So if you want to see that, that's also where we're going to be taking Q&A at the end of this session. So if you do have questions, we're going to do about a 15-20 minute Q&A. And we're going to do, any questions that you guys may have, I'll try and answer in the best of my abilities. And we'll keep that in the YouTube comment section. So do have your application open, and we'll do some of that at the end. I am going to move rather quickly today. It is Sunday. I don't want to bore people to death, but I thought it was really important to go live today because we have a lot of big events coming up this week. Last Monday I said things were probably going to get pretty volatile, back to my first point. And we saw volatility last week, guys. We had the VIX move from 24 to 29. I'm seeing the futures right now down about a bit, down about a full point already. So things are moving. Things are going to be pretty panicky this week. There's going to be a lot of jolts up, a lot of jolts down. Here's what we have this week. We have quad witching on Friday, which basically means on June 17th, right? Or 15th. I can't even remember. I think it's 17th or 15th. 15th. We have quad witching, which basically is probably hundreds of billions, if not over $1 trillion potentially in contracts that are going to expire on that day. So you're going to see a lot of money in, you're going to see a lot of money out, and you're going to see a lot of contract volatility, which is going to cause a lot of volatility in the regular markets. You're seeing, I've seen huge VIX contracts being bought, 50, 100% out of the money. I've seen, huge put volume. I've seen huge call volume. So there's a lot of big bets going on all over the place. And, people don't like losing money. So keep an eye, as I said, for volatility. Things could be pumped, things could be dumped. And I'm talking big names, AMD, Tesla, QQQ, SPY. That's the kind of names I'm looking for because that's the kind of volatility I think we're going to see. That's quad witching. That's Friday. What we have for Wednesday and Thursday is the FOMC and Jay Powell coming on. So we have a ton of volatility through that. We saw the CPI number give a really hot read last week, 8.6 versus 8.2 expected, which is unbelievably high. For those that don't know, it's a 40, 50-year high of inflation. Haven't seen that in, almost a full century here. So that's pretty scary to see. We have the Ukraine, Russia going on. We have the China sort of not reopening, sort of are reopening. A lot of uncertainty in the markets. And when I tell you big money investors, big money hedge funds, big money funds, index funds, anything along that nature who has to be in the market, they don't like uncertainty. When there's uncertainty, they feel uncomfortable, especially when there's big money being involved, right? So, with all those aspects going into it, here we are down 20% plus on the year across all indexes. And you've probably seen some of your favorite stocks or some other stocks. I would say the majority are probably down 50 to 80%, which is pretty drastic. We definitely needed a reset, but I do want to kind of talk through that back in January, right? I'm going to walk through this because I think this is pretty important. Today's session, we're going to cover a bunch of things. We're going to cover the QQQ, Tesla, AMD. Those are my three sort of just watches this week from a large cap perspective. I'm going to go over the charts just to walk through some stuff. Small caps, I'm going to work AERC. I think I just say ERC, AERC. That's that micro floater that had that FDA approval. We alerted that thing under, I think, $4, and that thing flew. I think it flew to about 13s already. That chart is still setting up for upside. I'm going to walk through that. And then small caps, another name is HUSA, HUSA. That name has also been sort of trending and gearing up. It's definitely showing some strength to the upside. And if oil continues to squeeze to new highs, I think that's a name you may want to watch and just ride out some momentum to the upside and sort of maybe catch some FOMO. And then the med caps, I want to focus on med caps this week, is NTLA. It was a large cap about maybe a year ago. And this thing has moved down from about the 200s back to 40s. It's a big Cathie Wood holding. It's a huge biotech gene cloning name. I really love it for the future. And it's starting to present some nice 5, 10, 20-year out sort of long ad ideas. So if you want to check that one out, it's NTLA, one of my favorites. And it's slowly starting to get back in that buy zone. We played it from the 40s, 50s up to the 150s, 170s. And that was in about a 3-day period. This thing could move fast. It caught FOMO, and it ran pretty big on the last news about a year ago, all the way up into the 180s. I even think it hit 200s briefly there. So NTLA is now back in the buy zone for me. We're in the 40s. That's going to be a watch I'm going to be watching as well. I'm going to talk through that chart as well as some upcoming catalysts. And then CHPT, that's the leading charging station company in the U.S. CHPT, that's ChargePoint. There's about a 90,000 block call I saw bought on the July 15 strikes. 90,000 on the block. That's a big sort of option ad for that name, and that thing's trending to the upside on the daily and weekly. So I'm going to be watching that name as well. Those are the two medcap names. When I talk about medcap, that's about, for me, medcap is about 2, 3, 4, 5 billion up into about 8 to 10 billion. That's my medcap range. Anything above 10 billion, I consider that large cap. So yeah, okay, guys, those are the names we're going to cover today. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names quickly. I'm going to do about a 20-minute chart lesson in total through all those, 15, 20 minutes. And then we're going to do Q&A. So have the questions ready. That could be on the charts I cover. That could be any questions at all. Trading questions, support resistance questions, any of my experiences I've had throughout trading, anything at all. Try to stay away or not pertain to some of the individual ticker or stock ticker questions. I'm not going to really just jump to a ticker and do an analysis for like a one-on-one scenario. Anything I can't answer, I'll just say obviously I can't answer. So for those that don't know, we're going to run through some charts now. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. I'm going to check with my tech guy, make sure everyone can see the screen okay. Cool. So let me just quickly double check. Can everyone see my screen? I'm going to zoom in a little bit so it's sort of clear for everybody. Okay, so QQQ, for those that don't know, that is basically your top tech stocks. That's your sort of, I call it the NASDAQ, your large tech names, okay? Back in January of 2022, so about 7 months ago, when we were trading around 400, and everyone knew interest rates were going to be higher, everyone knew inflation was getting big, it just, people thought, okay, we're in for a correction, okay? Now that correction can be, typically a correction is about 10 to 15%. 20% plus is considered scary, sort of recessionary times, okay? We're at the 20% plus, and everyone's now talking about a recession. Yes, it's a lot of this priced in. I'd say yes and no. But, I want to walk through January because at 400, what were our targets? If you guys remember, a lot of the OGs who've been here for years, trading with the Spud Zone in the Discord, they probably remember at 400 when the QQQ's at 400, we're now at 280s. What were the targets in January by sort of June or end of year of how low we can potentially go? Well, the first target was this 350 line. So everyone see this 350 line. Why was that a first target, right? So for those that are new traders, I'm going to run through a simple standard support and resistance that I use in typically trading. Now, this is the weekly chart for the NASDAQ or the QQQ, right? We see a big green candle. What's the bottom of this little tiny wick? 350, right? What's the bottom of this little tiny wick? 350, right? We blew through the 350. So that was the first support that we blew through, which actually was my first target on the downside from 400. Now, if you do the math, 400 to 350, that's potentially, right? That's a little over a 10 to 12, 13, 14% move on the downside. The next target for me, if we got really bearish, was this 315. Now, of course, we're in the biggest bull market of all time. And when I was posting this in January, let me tell you, people were not very happy with me. No way, Spud, you have no idea what you're doing. That's an insane call. There's no way we're dropping 20%, 30% from those levels. Well, here we are, guys. We're way below 315. We're actually way under that. We're about in the 280s right now, 289. I think the QQ's at 289 right now, 288. So we blew through the 315 support, and that was when we blew through this wick here, we saw a bigger even downside draft, and we tried to bounce off the 295 and basically come back up to this 330. I thought we were going to hit 330, this parallel line here, and that would have been my reshort signal, and then I was going to try and short down to where we are now, but we never got to 330. We got to about 314. I really wanted to get to 330, 325, as many know. That was I posted, that's where I wanted to short QQQ again. But guys, we didn't get there, which is even more scary because we didn't get the cap bounce. We got about a 7 to 10% cap bounce off the bottoms on the global indexes, which was great. But now we just got to keep going. Where are we going? What's the next supports? We blew through here, we blew through here, we blew through here. What's the next one? Well, we got about, I'd call a triple bottom down in here at around 265 bit, maybe a 260 on the low end, maybe a 250. So 250 to 265 could be that next demand zone. Guys, we blow through that, and I would say the next bottom wick would be about 200 on the QQQ. People probably calling me crazy on just talking through that 200 on the QQQ. The COVID lows were actually $1.66. So, technically we could go down much more. The COVID lows were way down there. Technically speaking, I do think we could hit this 265, 250 zone at this rate pretty quickly. If fear really hits, who knows, we could even hit that 230. So those would be my next targets. You got a triple bottom, a very big key support at 250 on the QQQ. If that breaks, we already are in full bear territory after breaking that 315 plane. I would say we're even more bear territory if we break this 270. I would say we're in like a complete bear market. We could even see a walk down to 230, 215. So my next levels would be this level, 265 to 250, and I'd call that an accumulation zone. You break below that 250 mark and things could get really ugly. And what I mean by really ugly is if you look at the 2008 chart, you look at the dot-com bubble, you look at the 1972 chart, when things get below really ugly, they tend to get really ugly. And what I mean by really ugly is maybe potential margin call downside, an extra 5, 10, 15%, funds closing down, going bankrupt, companies going bankrupt. That's what I mean by ugly. Now, I'm just showing you or saying what you can potentially see if things got really bad. It's just worst case scenario. Honestly, corporate companies right now are probably at all-time high on the balance sheets in terms of cash flow, in terms of record earnings, a lot of them. So I think companies are in really, really good shape corporate-wise. The average person I think out there in America is in pretty good shape. Inflation's now sort of eating away at a lot of that good shape in terms of, savings or gases, etc. But I think corporate is in a really good shape for the majority, as everyone has a lot of cash on the balance sheet, all-time record highs. So I just don't see us blowing out to these bottom levels in the 160s, 200s. But as I said, if fear really continues to hit and all these uncertainties continue to stay, I think that 250 would be your line in the sand for the QQQ. And I actually would be starting to buy at the 250 zone in here. 240, 250, 260. That's sort of when I'd start to really make some good long-term stabs and really look for maybe bounces back to the 315, 330 levels. So that's the QQQ. Hopefully that breakdown's helpful. And then I'm going to go into some particular different setups. So the first name I'm going to talk through is Tesla. Had a Friday after hours pop on a 3-to-1 stock split. I think Elon Musk said something like that. And so, I think the shareholders approved that. That's going to take place in August. But I want to walk through the weekly chart because I've been calling 550 on Tesla for a while. I've called 550 on Tesla when it was at 1200. We got pretty close to the 550. We got down to 615 the other week. I really do like this 550 because there's a 1 bottom, 2 bottom, 3 bottom. The next 550 would be a 4 bottom. I think there's a lot of demand in that 550 zone. There seems to be a lot of big money that buys in that 550 every time it hits, and there's always been a walk up every time it hits 550. So I like that zone. I think your first zone you got to get to is 620, 620, 625. If you break through that, I think you get 550. If you get really bearish on Tesla, I think you get to the 390, 400 spot. You get bullish case on Tesla, I think you can see about 850 here on this bit, followed by 1,000. I think 1,000 is a big mark just in people's heads. And then that 1250 line is a big one. Keep in mind, prices, people, consumers, savings are all going down in terms of savings accounts, people being able to afford new cars. Gas is really high. That could be a bullish case for Tesla. I don't know where this name's going to go, but those are your levels up and those are your levels down. 550 is your big line in the sand. I think if that breaks, you're going to see a major algo sell down to probably the 400s. So keep an eye on that 550 mark. That's also a demand zone. So keep an eye. If you're looking for a bounce in this name, that's my spot. I haven't done anything with Tesla other than day trade it. We made a killing on puts. I think that 2 Fridays ago was, or maybe last Friday. I can't even keep track. Time is really flying by. We made a killing on those puts. I think they ran like 1,000% intraday or 800% on that Friday. So keep an eye on Tesla. AMD is an interesting one. I'm actually even more bullish. I'm not bullish too much in the markets yet, but AMD is a name I'm bullish on. They just keep reiterating guidance. It keeps getting analyst upflow. I'm liking this name on the daily chart. I like the 85 buy zone. You got to look at this buy zone from 85. It's where the huge run 85 to 160 happened last year. Back in 2020, 2021. 85 is a nice spot down in here, guys. And we bounced off that again earlier about 2 weeks ago. And we bounced all the way to 108. So that's a 20-25% move. Okay. But the next spot I really love on AMD is this bottom, 75, 72 to 75. You got a 1 bip, 2 bip, 3 bip, 4 bip. This would be a 5 bottom at around 72 to 75. Do you guys see what I mean by a bottom? What I mean by a bottom is a 5x bottom is it bounced off of that level 5 times. Does that make sense for new traders? So it bounced up, dumped, bounced up, dumped, bounced up. So there's there's demand. People want to buy this stock at that level. That's how we trade. That's how I trade. I trade off of price action. Where do the buyers want in? Where do the sellers want out? If everyone's selling here, I'm not buying here. I want to sell here. So I'm going to short. I'm going to buy puts. I'm going to short this down. When I get down into here, if I'm a short, I'm covering here. This is a huge buy zone. If I'm a new buyer, I'm going to buy this dip there to potentially get more upside on a bounce. See what I'm saying? So that's your big support level on AMDs at 72 to 75. I will probably take a heavier position if it gets there. I have alerts set up. And I won't play it with shares. I'd probably play it with 2-3 month long calls on that level. Okay, guys? So that's AMD. That's our third large cap of the day. Sorry I'm breezing through this. Hopefully this is helpful. Let me quickly just check, make sure this is helpful. Okay, it is helpful. Good. I'm going to get into the small caps. I think a lot of folks want to see some of that small cap craziness. So we're going to talk through AERC. This is one of the craziest AERC. I call it AERC or ARC. I don't want to say ARC because everyone thinks like, oh, Kathy Woods, let's dump it. No, AERC. I'm just going to call it AERC. All right. So AERC here. This is probably one of the craziest charts I've ever seen. So this, I guess, IPO'd in 2021. This thing ripped to $117. Then it had like I don't even know. This had like a monster sell down day. I'm going to look at the daily chart. I think that's more beneficial here. So yeah, this had like a huge downdraft. Pretty wild, actually. Um, so yeah, so the daily chart here is a very interesting one. It ripped, first day it ripped here. I caught it on this bottom dip here at around 312 down in here. 320 is when the first alert came out. And then this thing ripped the next day all the way to 1420. Then it kind of consolidated on a red candle, but it hasn't seen any selling. If you look, it's been green, green, red, green, green. Had one big selling day here, but the rest have been just bought up and picked up. And it keeps retesting this 13. And I think if this name could break out past 14 clean, I think you're going to get a retest of 17, 18. And I think if you can break 18 clean, my next target for the full washout, full on top out will be 21 to 25. I don't think that's out of the question on this name if the momentum just keeps going. Now, given said, the markets are pretty banged up, but if this stays with momentum and just keeps sort of consolidating, you could just get that 50% blast off data, like 21 bucks a share. So I'd keep an eye on it. 21, 25 would be my high targets on AERC. And my other targets would be 17, 18. But it's got to hold this trend line. See how this is the selling trend line? It's about $9. It's got to hold 859. You see how it hasn't dropped below this really yet? If it breaks below 850, we're back in the bear zone, and this thing probably retests 4, 5, 6s over the next few months. If it holds 859s for the rest of, this week, maybe next week, and sort of just is holding at 9, 10, 11, 12s, it could get scary for the shorts. It could see a nice move to 18, 19s. So keep an eye. That would be this top wick. You guys see this top wick here? That top wick is where I call that a double top. That would make it a triple top. I'd be a seller at 17, 18 bucks a share. That's where I'm looking to sell this name. So keep an eye maybe for dips and maybe buy some rips. Keep an eye for dips, potential ad zones, maybe look to sell some rips, and keeping that stop loss tight. As I always like to teach new members, if you're a premium student, you guys know what I preach for the last few years. A stop loss is like having your car keys. You cannot enter or use the vehicle without having your car keys, right? In trading, for me, I cannot enter a trade without having a stop loss set up. Whether it's 2%, 5%, 10%, 15% on a swing, whatever it is, I cannot make a trade or utilize a trade without having the stop loss set up. Because one, it protects my capital to the upside or downside. Two, it minimizes any losses that you may have. I could have 5 losing trades in a day, and I could have 1 big trade in a day, and that blows out all my losses, and I have a huge green day. It happens all the time. The best of traders are very good at keeping their stop losses tight and to their comfort zone. So, when buying dips on some of these names, you could stop out 2, 3%. Okay, I could get in lower. Where it gets trouble is people don't know how to use stop losses, and they get down 20%, 30%. Should I average down? For me, averaging down has never helped in the past. I always cut my losses before I average down. I take my loss, I move on to the next trade. And that's one of the biggest steps in trading for me as a trader years ago. It's like when I can get emotions out of it and take a loss, I can move on, whether that's a 50K loss, 100K loss, 200K loss, whatever it may be. It could be a small intraday loss, 5, 10K, whatever it is for me, right? Like that, I can just move on to the next trade. Losing sucks. I get it, and it happens. But the best of traders lose a ton of trades. But when they have winners and they let their winners ride and they play it out and they keep letting them ride and they take profits at the right time, those big winners are potentially life-changing gains, yearly changing gains, weekly changing gains, daily changing gains, etc. Okay? So this is a pretty crazy chart. This is AERC. I'd keep an eye on this one. Sorry, I went a little off tangent there. I thought it was a good point. The next one is an oil energy name, HUSA. I also alerted the dip on this one, I think last week, when it dipped to that 490 zone right in here. This was that dip. I added it. I said, watch inside bar setup. We could see higher. This 490 was huge, crucial, and it kept ripping up. Look at this chart, though. Haven't really sold off once we made the big initial candle up, which makes me believe we could have a higher leg to the 8s again. So this is a name I'm targeting potentially 8s all the way up to 9 to 10 zones. So that would be about a 20 to 40% move from current levels. Keep an eye on HUSA. I'm liking this one if it stays in this range. If it breaks below the $6.50 $6 range, and oil starts to crash, this is a name you want to cut loose or go short on. If oil stays all-time highs and continues chugging along, this is what I'd call a FOMO trade to the upside. I would be buying this name above ask, and I'd be trying to walk it up with the oil as oil starts to. If you see oil ripping, this is a name I'm immediately jumping into, and that's ticker HUSA. That is Houston American, Energy. So this is a name you want to ride up. Now on the daily chart I'm looking at right here, we have gap fills all the way up to 15, 16 zones. This top wick is 14. So it's a little tricky here, but if it cleans through 10, if it breaks through 10, 12, I would say 13 to 15 would be your next targets for the upside. But key break here is 10. Another key break here is 850. 850, 10's your resistance, 16 your resistance. But I think you could potentially see that full cup and handle full, right? So this is the breakdown, this is the cup and handle, and then this would be the extension pop. And I'd be a seller. Yep, you heard me right. I'd be a seller 12 to 15, 16 zones. That'd be my sell targets, okay? As I said, it breaks below 656. Cut it loose for me. Anything above 8, 9, 10s, I'd sell 12, 15s, okay? So that's where I'm looking on this name. And those are my small caps, okay? HUSA, AERC are my top small caps. Everyone's probably like, can you see Redbox? Can you show me Redbox? I'm not even going to give my comments on Redbox. No comment on Redbox. I have nothing to say about that name. It's a company that should be probably worth 60 to 70, 80 cents. I think the buyout was for 90 cents or $1 a share, something ridiculous. I understood the whole GME AMC. I rode that. That was fun. It was a great ride back, 2-3 years ago. That was fun. It was a great time. Don't get me wrong. This company is much different than an AMC and GameStop. So I know people are comparing it. I would just be very careful trading this name. This could pop 30, 40%. It could drop 50% in a day. It's just extremely volatile. I probably wouldn't play it. I'm not personally playing it. It's just too crazy for me. I alerted the short at 9. It ran the 5s, 40% short in 3 days. But now it's back, I think, up to the 13. So pretty volatile. That shows you how crazy this name is. Redbox. That's just a name I'm not touching. Gonna go to the med caps. NTLA. We're gonna jump into QnA in about 3 minutes. So stay on board. Get your questions ready. NTLA. Check this chart out, guys. I want to show you guys this daily chart. I do want to show this, and let me zoom in a bit here though. So I have a new laptop. I'm trying to get used to this operating system here. It's on you got the new MacBook Pro chip or whatever the heck it's called. Okay, cool. So this is a daily chart. Look at this demand zone, guys. NTLA 42, 42, 45, 42, and here we are. It bounced off 42 again and ripped up. 42 again and ripped up. Now we're back down to about that 42, 40, 38 zone. So this had a lot of demand, if you can hear me out here, in the 30s, 40s, and it ripped to 200. This is a big institutional name, and it's a future bet institutional name. What I mean by that, I believe, is they do like gene cloning. They do a bunch of like really cool biotech, futuristic stuff. They're not a big money maker by any means, which is probably why they're dying out here. It's probably why there's people dropping them, is because they don't make money. And with inflation going up and people looking for real companies, people are probably dumping this out. But this is one, I think, if you're okay with holding and taking a 10, 20% stomach loss on paper before potentially a 50, 100, 200% gain, even more. This could be, I think I've seen people quoted as the Tesla of biotech. When it was at $200 a share, is it the next Tesla of biotech to 1,000? I've seen articles like that. I'd keep an eye on this NTLA. I do some research, but from a technical standpoint, charting research, I like it here at 42. It's bounced a few times, 1, 2, 3, 4 bips on 42. It's bounced. And then the next support line, I'd look at 30. And then anything under 30, I think is just buy and close your eyes and hold long term. I like this name for the long term. I really do. I think it's really starting to get in buy zone. The market cap currently is about $3 billion. So, you're not, this isn't a penny stock, guys. This has a $3 billion market cap at $42 a share. So when it was at 200, you just times it by 4. Okay, so that's a 12 billion market cap, and it was considered rather cheap in the 200s and 100s. A lot of people were saying. So this is a name I want to watch. They have upcoming data on June 22nd, the week of June 22nd. So not this week, the following week. That's in, I believe, London or the UK. So if that phase 1 data is good, watch out above. This could fill that 50 gap. This could also fill the 75 gap. So how I want to play this is, if I see a bunch of weakness this week into Thursday, Friday, I'm going to probably add like the July 50 strike on calls. as a potential swing. I know that would give me about two and a half, 3 weeks to get back to the 50 strike. But as I said, this name moves fast. This could go 10, 15% a day. So it moves quickly. And the options are pretty cheap. The options can get cheap. So the IV is not pretty high. So that's a name I'd be playing with options, as well as long shares in my long account. This is a name I want to be looking potentially to add. I do like it for the long term. That is NTLA. I believe it's 17th holding right now in Kathy Woods, give or take somewhere around that range. I think I saw that. So this is a big name for her. I think she's accumulated about 8 million shares all up in here. So she's, down 20, 30, 40% on the trade. Maybe even 50%, probably, I'd imagine, from in here. So I do like the name. As my goal is always, I want to have a better position than 90 to 95% of the folks investing in that particular name. That's just that's my edge I like to have, and I feel safer when I'm getting in a better entry than 80 to 90% of the folks that own the stock. So that's how I like to look at things on big dropouts like this. And then CHPT was the weird, unusual volume I saw the last week. This is ChargePoint. I know nothing about the company other than they are the U.S.'s biggest charging station provider. I think they have the most charging stations in the country. So if you're a big believer in electronic vehicles, this could be a name to own for the long term. This is CHPT, and this is a med cap. I think the market cap's 4 or 5 billion. It was 10 to 15 billion. It was a large cap, but it sort of dropped out. This has a 52-week low of about $9, $9. But there was a huge $90,000 block trade on the $15 calls for July. I like that trade. I took the dip. I added a starter in my IRA on the dip on Friday. I'm sure it's going to open more red tomorrow, it seems, unless their futures are ripping. I have no idea. And so $20 is the daily gap fill on this one. So this is a name. I took $20 Jan calls. I'm trying to maybe get 20, 30, 40% upside on these and maybe try and exit them. I just want to see if this thing rips higher before the July strike of 15. So that buyer was basically saying that this stock's going to be higher than 15 by July 15th. They were buying up the premiums. There was about, I think there's still 100,000 open interest on those 15 Julys. That's 2 weeks from now, guys, 2.5 weeks. 3 weeks from now. So I'd keep an eye on those. I think 20 is a gap fill. Downside would be to about 12, $11. That is ChargePoint. I'm a seller of any big news or big moves. I'm a seller, not a buyer. And any big sell-offs, I'm looking to sell off the weakness or maybe add the dips. So that's ChargePoint. I'm going to go into a Q&A session. I'm going to switch back to my Streamlabs here. So do get your questions ready. I'll try and answer as best as I can. I started at session at 6:30. So I'm about to do about 10, 15 minute Q&A. I'll try and get you guys out of here by 7:20. It's about 7:05 now, okay? But please do write. Was this explanation helpful? Please write before we start the questions. Just shoot if this session's been helpful. I see 100 people tuning in. It's only getting higher, so I imagine people are intrigued, engaged. Just walk through if this was helpful or not, and then let's get into Q&A and questions and start shooting questions, and I'll start writing down, and we'll get started, guys, on some Q&A. That's the biggest part of this session, so I appreciate you guys sticking around. Okay. Okay, so 48K sound. What about Indo? I think this is actually a good talking point. I want to talk through this name because Indo is an interesting one. It should have been running hard. But this is when I say to myself, it's time to cut. And what I mean by time to cut is this support broke down. And once it broke this 1250 plane, I knew we were headed lower. Here we are. It's down 30% from the 1250. My point being is on this name is price action. This is how I trade price action. So where everyone's buying and where everyone's selling, that's how I evaluate where I make my trades. So if I'm seeing a lot of buy action here, I know that potentially we could go higher. If I'm seeing a lot of selling, it could go lower. I believe there was something in the form fills, like a form 6. I don't know if that was an offering or something in there that's, I think, spooking people out. It just seems every pop is just getting lower lows. It just sold off. So it seems very sort of controlled or manipulated, the word would be. And it's not gearing up with oil. It's doing almost the opposite here now. And that name was ripping with oil. So I'm staying away from Indo. If you're playing oil, I think the stronger names would be a HUSA or an IMPP. Those names seem to be trending for small caps in the oil and energy. So that would be how I sort of stay with the Indo question. Hope that helps. That comes down to price action and feel. And I didn't feel that name was doing anything strong. It didn't have much strength. Thoughts on, oh, is that KO? Is that Kroger? Is that Coca-Cola during this time of seas of red? Isn't it a good investment during bad times? I believe if KO has a dividend, all dividend names are being flocked to. But I even think, you saw Walmart, Target. You've seen a lot of these consumer staple names get pretty smoked recently. So I don't even think cyclicals or consumer staple names are safe. I'm 90% cash in all my IRAs, in my bank accounts, in my trading account. I own basically nothing besides maybe some swings, very small swings. I'm all cash. I really want a market blowout where I can actually put some potential capital to work, and that could be in real estate or stock market. So that's me personally, but I just don't feel comfortable buying anywhere yet until I really see a bottom. Or until I see that maybe something settles, like a Ukraine-Russian war, or the rates or inflation's coming down, something like that. So until I see some big positive catalyst, I'm just sitting all cash. Justin, yeah, I do think NTLA is an interesting one. I do like it. Gem Spud tomorrow's gonna be a flush day. I don't know. It could be a sideways week till Wednesday, Thursday, till FOMC meetings. J Powell. But as I said, there's quad witching, so there's a lot of money being traded on the options world. So things could be up and down. Can you talk more about Hunter? Can you talk more about intraday signals? Got you, my man. So intraday signals, really on the intraday signal piece. I always use 5-minute chart, guys. So 5-minute chart for me. Let's just use an example. Let's go to Tesla, right? So I always talk through price action. Price action, price action. I don't really look at all these indicators. You see all these gurus or people tell you about indicators. I use 1,000 indicators. To me, I don't even use really indicators. I use VWAP for the large caps, and I use 200 moving average for large caps because I know that large funds, index funds, mutual funds, hedge funds, they use the 200 moving average to like their disposal. If it breaks below, they sell. If it breaks above, they buy. So, that's typically why I use 200 MA or VWAP. VWAP I use intraday, that on large caps. But that's really it, guys. I don't use much. Everything else is price action and candlesticks. So if you're looking at intraday, I think someone just asked an intraday example. I like to look for double bottoms, forms of strength, or for vice versa, forms of weakness if you're at a double top. So Tesla hit the double top at 714. What happened in after hours? Hit 714. What happened at 714? It obviously sold off because it was resistance. A lot of that's just computer and algo selling. If it hits a certain peak, they have it just sell. If it hits a certain peak, they have it just buy. So the buy zones on Tesla are about 684. It retested 684. You saw some buy zones. So that would be bullish. Tesla showed bullish action off 685. We saw it break through then here at 92, and it broke higher. So that would be a bullish sort of intraday move. Hopefully that helps. I have a lot of questions to ask, so I can't really talk more about that. Let's go down. Any ideas on Amazon, Dimitri? I was bullish on Amazon pre-split about 2 weeks ago, and it really washed out. I know a lot of folks on our team in the Discord channel. And by the way, if you're looking to join the Discord, highly recommend it. It's a premium server, but there's an awesome options team in there that we have running for us. And then we also have myself and a few others doing a lot of small caps, large caps, med cap stuff. So highly recommend checking it out. We have thousands of members as well as thousands of testimonials. So I would highly recommend checking them out. You could see that in the premium, in the YouTube subscription itself. But to answer your question about the any ideas on Amazon, we played the upside calls into the split, and the split was a sell the news for us. So that's how we played it, and it ended up working out well because it's only sort of died out since the split. Das Gut Auto, Blue, please. Blue's an interesting one. I do want to talk through the chart on Blue because I never touched it. This is a small cap name. I've seen articles saying, is this the next multimillionaire stock? This is an interesting one, guys, Blue. News came out Friday when everyone was sort of sleeping after hours and going out for the enjoy the weekend. This thing absolutely just ripped. I think it was like 7 or 8 million shares from Friday of like 5 p.m. 4:30 to like 7 p.m. was like 7.5 million shares or something wild. This is in 20% short interest, 80% institutionalized owned, 70 million outstanding shares. So 80% of that 70 million, 8 times 7, 50 to 60 million shares of the 80 million guys are institutionally owned. So that leaves about a 20 mil free float for the public. So, if these guys aren't selling, it's a small float. This is a small float then, right? I do want to show you this chart. It's pretty crazy. It's down like 90. Look at this, guys. This thing has dropped from 2018 to $100 a share at 2018 to $2.86. It's got a 250 mil market cap, huge FDA sort of support. Once it broke that 18, it's just free falled. I really think there's some serious gaps up to the 11. 11's my first target on blue, followed by 17. 11 and 17 would be my first two targets. This is the weekly chart on blue. But that being said, I don't want to buy or I want to see price action on a Monday first. Like, are people selling this news? Or are we going to consolidate at this level and just absolutely rip higher to the 7s, to the 8s, to the 11s? But I really like the gap fill to 11s, guys, because it dropped to the 8s and it ripped back to the 11s. So that could be where shorts could get in trouble, the 11s. And if it breaks 11s, my gosh, there's some serious gap fills up to the 20s. So 11's that key point though for me. It already broke all resistances in after hours, but I want to see, as I said, is it going to be a sell the news? Are they going to walk this thing back to the 5s or 4s and then walk this back up to the 11s? I don't know. So I want to see how this blue reacts. So blue is a top watch for me this week. Just given this drastic move in the daily chart from 2018. I mean, 200 million market cap times 1,000, 2 billion market. So this was, guys, this is almost a $20 billion market cap, I guess, technically speaking. And now it's a 200 million market cap. So I don't really know anything about this company, but just from the chart technicals alone and the huge short float, I would think that this could have much more in the tank, I would think. But let's see what happens tomorrow and Tuesday. And then throughout the end of the week. Any big dips, I think I'd probably try to buy just because of, you might see some shorts trying to exit this trade. So, I'm looking for a potential multi-day swing on this name. That's ticker blue. Hopefully that's helpful. Let's see, though. Okay. Thoughts on WWR? I'm not going to go through personal tickers. Justin, I just talked blue. I think a bunch of people had questions on blue. Hopefully that covers. For reading price action, T. Krosner, do you use the time and sales in the volume chart? Not so much. I more so look at just the candlesticks. I just talked through price action. So I look at where is everyone buying? So I always like to use the example. This is a really good example, guys, for price action. When I always say really good price action on a stock, right? That could be, for 6 hours during this trading session, it didn't dip much, right? Every dip was bought up. That's really strong, bullish price action. So when you see that, as me as a trader, when I see that bullish price action, what do I think? This could squeeze into close because it hasn't dipped at all, which means that there's so much buying and accumulating being done. This could have higher highs the next couple of days, right? So that's what a bullish price action. Bearish means it's just creating new lows intraday. There's more sellers. The volume's heating up. That would be bearish price action. That's when you probably want to sell or go short or buy puts. Okay. I always like to use it as for a penny stock example. If a penny stock's trading at $1, what is considered bullish price action? Well, if 5 to 10 million shares bought at $1, right, and only 1 million were sold at $1.10, and then it continues higher and higher, that demand zone, right, the bullish price action, it started at $1, right? So we know that if it ever dips back down to $1, that's maybe where you want to try to buy because so many buyers bought at $1. That's where they thought it was a good value, right? You have to think as a trader. Your whole goal as a trader is to think, how can I competitively outbeat the millions of other people that you're competing against, right? How do I have a competitive edge against them, right? How do I have a competitive edge against a fund or a Wall Street trader or anyone you're trading against, right? So you have to think about it in that perspective as well when you're making the trade. So that would be a bullish momentum up. Now, if you see 20 million shares get sold at $1.20, you know that, whoa, okay, there's a lot more sellers than buyers at $1. There was it was 4 times more selling at $1.20. That's probably when I want to look to sell. Okay, there was a lot of selling there. Big sellers wanted out. I'm going to sell and take profits there as well. So does that make sense? Hopefully that helps for the price action question. That's T. Krosner. Hopefully I answered that. Mike O'Brien, I talked through supports on the QQQ. I'm not going to do SPY tonight. We've already done about 45 minutes of the session. I know I don't want to go over people's time here. Cool, guys. Well, it sounds like that's really it for the questions. We did about 45 minutes. Please write in the channel. I highly recommend joining the Discord if you're. I did this session for free, and I did this session to sort of teach and coach a bunch of our premium members, but also to attract new members to the thing. We've had thousands of testimonials, people buying new cars, rings for their fiance, paying off mortgages. You just saw the payoff mortgage in the first. Here we go. For Jeremy, excuse me if I said your name wrong. For Jeremy Gleish, paid off 6 months of his mortgage already from the call out last week. So there's a lot of awesome stuff happening like that. In this market, it's extremely, extremely profitable if you can trade both ways. As a trader, that's all we're looking to do. Mitigate losses, maximize gains. So highly recommend checking out the Discord. Super transparent on losses, super transparent on gains, et cetera, et cetera. Our goal is to be consistent and sort of the best of the cream of the crop. So highly recommend. You'll learn a ton. If you thought this session was helpful, please like it and subscribe. Share with friends, co-family, and other coworkers. So do help out with that. And yeah, guys, let's have a great week. It's going to be crazy. My goal is I'm going to try and keep my emotions down this week. It's going to be a wild trading week. We have so many uncertainties. We have FOMC, we have Powell, we have quad witching that expires Friday, billions and billions of dollars of contracts. We have Friday sell-off. So, just take a breath. You don't have to jump into trades. That's always like to tell. I like to never really trade the first hour or two on Mondays. I like to see where we're going and see how things are shaping out. And then go from there. So let's play patient. Let's play smart. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I really appreciate the time today, guys. I really do. I hope this session was helpful. And yeah, guys, that was great. Thanks so much again for the time. And let's chat more in Discord. Please write in the main trading room floor on the Discord premium section if you guys have any other one-on-one questions I can help answer, or the team or the tech team could help answer, okay? Awesome, guys. Take care. Spud Zone out. Awesome, guys.